guys, it's me once again with a new video. So आज हम लोग देखने वाले हैं ट्रू एनिमेशन स्टोरी। ये उस लड़की के बारे में स्टोरी है जो कि 3 स्कूल्स में जाती है एट द सेम टाइम। तो ये कैसे होता है, सीधे चलते हैं स्टोरी की तरफ।
Hi, my name is Robin, and
Hi Robin.
I'm the worst student you have ever met in your life. I never pay attention, I don't do a single homework assignment, and I flunk every test I ever get. My teachers have called me distracting because I can't sit still in class. They call me absent-minded because I stare out the window and have no idea what's going on when I get called on when they ask me a question.
Seriously 2 + 2? इसका जवाब तो यार बच्चे को भी पता है।
And they all call me too loud because sometimes when I have a song stuck in my brain, I think I sing it in my head, but really I sing it out loud without even noticing and everyone laughs. But worst of all, I get sent to detention.
ये कैसी पनिशमेंट? ये कोई पनिशमेंट होती है? अगर यहाँ पे ऐसा होना तो जेल हो जाएगी टीचर को भी और पूरे स्कूल बंद हो जाएगा।
Practically every single day for being so disruptive. So much so that when I get home after school at the normal time, my dad always asks me why I'm so early. Speaking of my parents, I can't tell you how angry all this makes them. They tried everything from punishing me, taking away my phone, grounding me, even sending me to therapists and asking doctors if they can help. But I can't be fixed because the truth is, there isn't anything wrong with me. The reason I can't sit still or pay attention isn't that I don't want to be a good student or that I even hate school or anything like that. The real reason is just that I'm an artist. I'm a dancer, a writer, an actor, a singer, and a visionary. And as much as I try to be good and sit quietly or pay attention, I just can't. There's too much going on in my head. I'm always getting lost in some desert or jungle or even outer space. Only in my head, of course. But still, that's where I find my true self. And that's where I have the most fun. But then things got bad one day when I got so caught up in my head writing a story in class when I was supposed to be paying attention that I didn't even hear the fire alarm go off. I guess something in the cafeteria caught fire.
आग लग गई?
And almost burned down the whole building. Everyone in class and the entire school got up and left while the alarm was blaring. Everyone except for me. When I looked up from my paper,
इतना खो गई वो कि उसे पता नहीं चला कि आग लग रही है यार।
I thought maybe I was still imagining things. But when the firemen showed up and saw me sitting there, I realized what actually happened, and I knew I would get in real trouble now. And that's exactly what happened. Only it was way worse than I could have predicted. The school called my mom and said I posed a risk to myself, and if my behavior didn't change, I would be expelled. As I was getting ready to tell my parents I would try extra hard this time to be good and pay attention, they called me for a family meeting, which was never a good sign. The last time we had one of these meetings, it was about my unhealthy obsession with romance stories on YouTube, which was humiliating. Nothing could have prepared me for what they were about to say.
Robin, I'm sorry, but we have tried everything to get you to behave, and we've run out of ideas. So now we have to do this.
Do what? I could tell by how quiet my mom was that it was super serious. My hands started sweating. My heart drummed a million beats per second. We're sending you to a boarding school across the country. It's the best one there is. Every kid who goes there ends up becoming very successful. Successful at what?
They become lawyers, accountants, dentists.
Are you serious? Those jobs would kill me. I'm not like that. Why can't you try to understand me instead of shipping me off to some...
Right. यार जॉब करना ना सक्सेसफुल नहीं कहलाता है।
Prison-like school. We tried everything, honey. We just want you to be successful when you get older. One day you'll understand. I ran to my room and cried, but they told me I had no choice. And after begging and begging, I finally accepted it. By the weekend, I was packed and ready to go. I tried my best.
Wait! Did you download Grammarly?
Come on.
To make good out of a bad situation and just tried to think of all the new kids I would meet and how maybe it would actually be fun to live at school. Boy, was I wrong about the second part. The school was exactly like how I pictured a prison.
ये तो जेल लग रहा है, सच में जेल लग रहा है।
Guard dogs, watchtowers, barbed wire. Well, okay, not really, but it was just a big gray rock which reminded me of prison. And all the kids wore gray uniforms, and even the grass looked gray under the gray sky above. It was like all color was suddenly drained from my life. Classes were the worst. The teachers yelled at you if you looked away. They closed the windows so I couldn't even look up at the stupid cloudy sky. And worst of all, the only time we were allowed to talk or make any noise at all during school hours was during lunch. But even then, we had to whisper. But there was one nice thing about it, which was actually even nicer than my old school. And that was that I made a bunch of new friends. Unlike my old school, where everyone thought I was a weirdo and didn't like any of the same things that I did, all the kids here were like me. They all loved being creative and doing things their own way, which is why they were sent here in the first place. But of course, the school had nothing for creative kids like us. No music classes, no theater, and every time the principal, Mrs. Crabble, saw me, she would say something like, "Robin, pay attention. Robin, be quiet. Robin, stop dancing." I was losing my mind. Mrs. Crabble was so mean. She yelled at kids until they cried, and even told some she would call their parents and tell them lies just to get them in trouble if they kept breaking her rules. Who do you think they'll believe? A little troublemaker like you, or a respectable principal like me? But I didn't do anything. You talked in class, your hair's messy, and now you talk back to me? One more word and I'll call your parents right now. Do you want to test me? The girl got quiet and Mrs. Crabble smiled. After the principal left, the girl cried. I knew I couldn't let Mrs. Crabble treat us like that, but I also didn't want my parents to get called, so I didn't say anything. I knew I had to do something, but I had no idea what it could be. For the next 2 weeks, I kept thinking of what I could do to get back at her for
मुझे लग रहा है सबको भड़काने वाली है या वॉरियर बनने वाली।
how she treated us. First, I thought I could prank Mrs. Crabble, put glue in her seat or whisper through the vents so she would think the school was haunted. But as much fun as it would be to drive her crazy, it wouldn't do anything for me and the other kids who were miserable here. What I wanted was to help them and make life fun and exciting. And that's when I had the best idea ever. Guys, can you come to my room tonight when all the teachers are asleep? I think I have an idea. What is it? I can't say yet. Only bring people you trust. This is top secret. When everyone comes, I'll tell you. That night, one by one, a bunch of the kids showed up in my room. I told them my idea was to make something I was calling the Secret School for Artists and Outcasts. They loved the idea, but we weren't sure what we were going to do. I told them I would write a story, the ones who liked fashion could make the costumes, and the ones who liked to draw could make the sets. After weeks of meeting quietly in the dead of night, getting everything ready, we finally put on the play and invited all the other kids who didn't know anything about our secret school. They all watched our play in total awe. They loved it, and we loved doing it.
तो बच्चों ने मिलके स्कूल स्टार्ट कर लिया क्रिएटिव लोगों के लिए।
It was the most alive I had felt in my entire life. Every night after that, we would meet in my room and put on plays, tell stories, have drawing classes. Every
और टीचर्स को पता नहीं चला बिल्कुल भी। वाह, ये तो बहुत अजीब बात है।
kid who had a special talent would teach each other how to do what they knew how to do. And slowly, we all became experts at everything. They all wanted to applaud for me, but since they couldn't, one girl, Marta, put her thumbs together and made her hands like a bird for my name, Robin, and everyone else did the same. From then on, that was the sign they used to talk to me without speaking out loud. I didn't realize it at the time, but this would become very useful later. It was like our own paradise where we could be ourselves and teach and learn things that actually mattered to us and made us feel like there was hope outside these gray walls. One day, Mrs. Crabble came to our class and told us she had a big surprise that would make us all very happy. We are starting a choir program, and at the end of the year, you will all sing in a big show to your parents. Aren't I the best principal ever? We all just nodded silently. I had to admit, singing sounded fun, but of course, when the choir class started, all we did was sing old, boring, slow, sad songs that made us all super depressed. Mrs. Crabble loved it, of course. One night, when we had all the kids who were part of the secret school gathered in my room for our own special classes, something terrible happened. One of the girls bumped a vase in my room and it fell and shattered so loud. We all froze and listened. Then we heard her. Mrs. Crabble was walking around, opening all the doors.
Where is everyone? If I find out you've snuck out of your rooms, you'll be in so much trouble.
There was nothing we could do but sit and wait. And then the door flew open, and there she was, fuming. She looked right at me since it was my room.
मतलब इस पूरे स्कूल में सिर्फ यही प्रिंसिपल है, बाकी टीचर्स का है।
And pointed, "You! No music classes, no choir, no good food, no leaving your room except to go to classes for the rest of the year. If anyone talks to Robin, even a single word, they will be punished, just like her. Now, all of you, go to your rooms." For the next few months, no one spoke to me at all. They wanted to, I knew they did, but they couldn't. At first, I was so sad, I didn't know what I would do. I cried every night. But the next day in class, I saw my friend Marta, and she made the sign for my name with her hands. Even though we didn't talk, it felt really good to know I wasn't alone and that my friends were thinking about me. I thought
That's why friends are very important.
that would be the highlight of my semester now that I couldn't talk to anyone. But I had no idea what would happen next. When it was time for the choir recital at the end of the year, I called my mom and tried telling her not to come because I wouldn't be able to sing.
On earth would you not be able to sing with all the other kids?
Because I'm sick. My throat hurts. I can't sing, so there's no point in coming. You can come get me when the school's over. The choir will be boring anyway, so don't come, okay?
The show isn't for another week. You'll be fine by then. Of course we'll come. We have to see all your friends, too.
There was nothing I could do. My mom and dad would show up and see that I wasn't part of the choir with the rest of the whole school and be so disappointed. Worst of all, Mrs. Crabble would love it. The day of the choir finally came, and Mrs. Crabble told me to sit in the audience with my parents. What? No, please, let me be in the choir. I won't sing, I promise. Don't make me sit with them.
Sorry, but you should have thought of that before you started your own little secret school and hid it all behind my back. Now go.
All the adults
इतनी बड़ी बात हो गई और पेरेंट्स को पता ही नहीं है।
were already sitting down when I went to sit with my parents.
Robin, what are you doing here? Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'll explain later. They wanted more answers, but Mrs. Crabble finally came out on stage. It was the only time I was ever happy to see her. The parents applauded, and then she turned to the kids in the choir and raised her hands, ready to lead them. When she started waving her hands to start the music, nothing happened. She waved them again and again, but no one sang. Instead, Marta put her hands together like a bird, the way she'd shown us to do as a way of calling my name. And then, all the other kids did it too, and they refused to sing, just like Mrs. Crabble had refused to let me talk.
Stop that. Sing the song like I taught you, right now.
No! Everyone turned to me. I stood in the aisle and yelled, "You yell at us, make us feel small, tell lies to our parents? We won't do what you say anymore." Yeah! Mom, Dad, I won't stay here anymore. Mrs. Crablegs hasn't allowed me to talk to anyone in weeks.
What?
That's wrong. We don't know. There's nothing wrong with me or any of the kids here. If you want us to be successful, all you have to do is let us do what we love. Let us be artists. That's what we are. And we're miserable here. I'm not like you, but that doesn't mean I need to be fixed. My mom got up and held me in her arms. "I'm so sorry. We didn't know you were so mistreated. We didn't understand." That night, all of the parents took their kids home when they realized what Mrs. Crabble had been doing, and the school ended up closing soon after. Now that my parents finally see me for who I am, I can do my own creative projects, and I can concentrate in school because I don't have to pretend I'm something I'm not. The truth is, my heart is full of stories and magical ideas, so whenever I need help that I can't get from my mom or dad or teachers, I go to my third school, the one in my imagination, where I can be free and be myself. And there, I'm the best student in the world. And now you're watching one of my stories.
सो ये स्टोरी एक मोटिवेशनल स्टोरी है फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स जो अपनी लाइफ में कुछ करना चाहते हैं उन लोगों के लिए है. इफ़ यू एंजॉयड दिस वीडियो प्लीज़ गिव इट अ थम्स अप एंड सब्सक्राइब फॉर मोर. टिल देन सी यू. बाय बाय.